Hi guys, and welcome back to Fringe Friday. As always, I'm Carmen, and today we are delving straight into Season 4, Episode 11 of Fringe. We are maybe past the mid-season finale? Unclear. We dealt with Emily in the last episode, and her gift, whatever you want to call it, was that she could see people's death and then draw it and then sort of warn them. But until Olivia and them stopped Albert in the courthouse, she was never able to actually stop anything from happening. So she kind of considered that her one great deed that she did, which I liked, but she was also a kid, and like, it kind of would have been nice to see her just be able to leave it behind and have a normal life. It also brought up some, childhood trauma for Olivia, which Nina did not help. And then she kind of tried to go back and help. But I don't trust anything with her because I know that she's working with David Robert Jones in some secret project that involves Olivia. And we don't know what their overall plan is. I'm assuming we're going to get little sprinkles of it throughout. Walter and Peter are working together, which is great. Unfortunately, Olivia is not fully trusting Peter and letting him in yet, which is completely understandable. It's just unfortunate because I think that he has her best interest at heart more than Nina, at least from what we've seen so far. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling because I cannot wait to see what this episode brings. So, let us see.
An hour than you and I will in a lifetime.
37 people in the intersection, 22 cars, 4 trucks.
Are we going to get an Astrid episode? Because it is about time. It is season 4.
Malignant. But it's small, and it's the early days. With radiation, this type of carcinoma is 95% treatable.
I know that actor.
95% survivable, chat.
That's good, but I have anxiety, so I would be like, what about the 5%? Oh, shapeshifters are going to get to him, right?
First, there's the cure, radiation. It makes you sick, weak. But it doesn't work. Not this time, not in your case. And soon, you lose all mobility below the waist. And finally, full respiratory failure.
Does he actually know this? And if so, how?
Doctor told me I have a 95% chance.
Yeah.
You're the other 5%.
See, that would be my this episode is making my anxiety go up. Hold on. What the fuck? I thought it was like gonna be the shapeshifters and then the cancer thing is how they were gonna get him. So what the fuck was that? Is this Broyles or is it Fauxlivia? Whoever it is, they're ever so slightly pigeon-toed.
Welcome, Agent.
It's Fauxlivia. No! It's Astrid! You guys! Is this an Astrid episode? Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited! Astrid, 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 Astrid.
The bridge was activated an hour ago. An agent crossed over to the other side without an emission imperative.
Who was it?
Astrid.
It was Agent Farnsworth.
What's she doing over there?
We don't know. She went off the grid immediately after crossing over.
Interesting.
Let's send a team of agents to retrieve her.
No, she must have had a reason.
Yeah.
I got a hunch where she's headed. I'll go get her.
Okay, good. Thank you, Fauxlivia. I like this Fauxlivia.
How about you and I share some delightful scrambled eggs, Astro?
It's Astrid.
That's funny. You never correct me.
It's not your Astrid. I wonder what she does want.
You're not you, are you?
She is her. She's just not your her.
I think what he meant was, I will never call you.
Hello. I always wondered why nobody does that. What are you doing here, Agent?
I came here to meet her.
Oh.
Hi. Hello. It's nice to meet you personally in the flesh. All personal meetings are in the flesh. I thought I would come here. I didn't know where to go after. Mother might have had traditions for such occasions, but I don't know. I don't remember her. My mother died of cancer when I was a girl. Did yours as well? Yes.
Aww.
At first I thought I would walk in the park, but it was so cold. And I could not stop thinking about the words Reverend Stewart said. What a leader he was. A great man, a great friend. Reverend Stewart said he would be sorely missed. And they lowered the box down into the ground, and we put down flowers. I didn't know where to go. May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Yours. Did you love him?
What's going on?
Yeah.
I think her father is dead.
Okay.
Do you think that one of us should wait here with...
No, there's no need. We will be fine. Astrid...
Really? You get her name right.
Astrid and I can wait here alone, can't we, dear? I'm sure she'll be great company.
Poor Peter. Walter is hating on him this episode. I'm so excited we have an Astrid episode, though, you guys. Like...
Okay, good news. Walter says that his organs haven't liquefied.
So then what else could cause this?
Nothing. Nothing real, at least. There is a legendary alchemical mixture called the Tears of Ra. Egyptians used it to euthanize beloved pets so that they could be buried with their owners who predeceased them.
That's horrible.
Kirk out!
Kirk! Someone... Okay. Is that an observer? It's not one we've seen before.
I think we have located it.
Now, Ryan, get out of here with your little... whatever the fuck that is. How do they do what they do? How do they do? How do they exist? I would like to know.
So nobody someone would want to kill?
Well, everybody has somebody who wants to kill them.
I hope not.
It works, but no one could have predicted it would work.
So you're saying that he was killed by a poison that no one invented?
It should go without saying, but that's impossible.
I think we're aware of that, Peter.
Why is Walter being so sassy to Peter?
Hey, girls.
Marta Hari,
Deus ex machina.
the hand of God.
Mm-hmm.
The creation of the toxin requires the assumption that these compounds can intermingle. And in fact, these compounds do not intermingle except when they are all mixed together. They do, which is a completely unpredictable event.
You're saying that a person would have to see that the chemicals had already been combined in order to know how to combine them?
Yeah.
Astrid, are you trying to tell us that God taught our perp how to mix a mythical poison?
Or godlike powers. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Okay, but... where's the root in science?
I love her.
Or our Astrid. What is, like, the purpose of whatever that guy's doing? Also, I think it's interesting that they're
You're putting up a good fight.
writing Deus Ex Machina into the script.
The drinking doesn't kill you. Instead, it shatters the lives of everyone around you. Your boyfriend is going to be killed in a car accident with you behind the wheel.
What is this man's purpose?
No one can see the future.
You're right. There is no future. There's no past. Everything happens right now.
Why?
The way this woman died, and I say this with some experience, is among the weirdest things I've ever seen.
She bleeding from her eyes?
How did you know?
It's not their first time today.
Asterix, collect a DNA sample.
Astrid, can you hand me a cotton swab?
Hang on, Walter.
I want to get a DNA sample.
Seems to be some hemorrhaging of the nasal passage.
You think maybe she inhaled something?
Yeah, possibly. Could be how they delivered the poison.
I'm sorry, Walter, what were you saying?
Doesn't matter. Agent Dunham to bring the
Astrid,
body.
we're gonna need to get this body back to the lab to have
Have it examined. You worked that out with the ME's office?
Walter's jealous.
Does he always do all the jobs?
These scalpels could use some sharpening.
You're sharing that with me? Why?
I thought you'd sharpen them for me. Said you wanted to help.
I had meant with the autopsy, Walter.
The screws in the rib spreader could also use a little tightening.
I just wonder why he's being so jealous. Usually he likes when Peter helps.
You're angry with your son.
He's not my son.
As I understand it, in a different timeline, he is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel love for him? I have found that anger inevitably seems to be conjoined with emotional investment.
Peter is a reminder of the son I had, but he is not that son.
And that makes you suffer.
Yes.
In that case, wouldn't it be preferable if you chose to believe he was your son, and then you could love him and be happy?
She's spitting facts.
Secretary's son. He's cute, huh? Bet he's all contradictory and tricky like his dad. Yeah, I imagine he's just your type. Actually, no. Turns out I like the nice guys.
I'm not touching it.
Oh, well, there has to be a connection. We just haven't found it yet.
That's my question, is what is his motivation in choosing the people that he's choosing? Surely there has to be, like Olivia said, some sort of pattern.
Have a nice flight.
Why? I didn't see anything abnormal in his boarding pass that would have caused him to single in on him, unless I just missed it.
Missed the flight this morning. There's nothing I can do.
The observer's watching. Or an observer.
Can I help you?
Making your next call will destroy your life. I'm gonna spare you from all that misery. A painless exit from a living nightmare.
Apparently his attacker tried to spray him with some kind of atomizer.
Ooh, interesting. How come he didn't foresee that?
What can you tell us about Mr. Cullen, Doctor? Well, it's not good news. I mean, we saved his life, but his spinal cord is severed.
Oh, damn. So, the fate is still the same?
Would you like a cup of coffee? I'm gonna make a fresh pot. I understand that has quite an interesting flavor. Yeah, I suppose it does. Have you never had any? Where I come from, coffee is very rare and thus very expensive.
Yep. I remember that from...
Yes, I would like that. Thank you, Astrid. You're welcome, sweetie.
I remember that from season 1. The coffee thing.
May I?
Certainly not.
That's right. You're still mad at me.
Yes, and now you're breaking my concentration as well.
Okay, so you're saying that the killer believes he is saving his victims from a lifetime of suffering by killing. That sounds like an extremely contorted view of compassion.
Some suffering is worse than death.
What is Logan International?
It's an airport. Why?
All 3 victims traveled through there.
So he's sabotaging them.
What is TSA? Transportation Security Administration. They screen every passenger for safety. In that case, correlating their voucher stamps, I believe they may each have been screened by the same security agent.
Okay, so that's his actual job. And that's how he finds his victims. Okay. He must be able to see with his little thingy that something bad's gonna happen to them, right? And then that's why he picks them.
Hey, stop that man!
Federal agents, we're in pursuit of a suspect.
Federal regulations. You either have a boarding pass or supervised authorization. Do you want me to find you a supervisor?
Really? Like federal agents can't just go through, even when they're federal agents?
So how does an advanced mathematics professor end up working for the TSA?
I suppose he loses his mind. Well, a couple years ago, he came back from summer break at his lake house, and he was just changed. But he'd become obsessed with these high-level differential equations that no one could make heads or tails of.
Okay, so he used math.
Well, that you could, in essence,
see past, present, and future simultaneously.
Okay.
Where was that lake house?
I'm not sure. Somewhere in eastern New York, I think. He wanted his mail forwarded. Oh, here we are. Raiden Lake.
Raiden Lake?
What's going on, Peter?
Yeah.
Professor said that Neil thought he could see past, present, and future all at the same time. That's what the observers do. We've just never been able to figure out how they do it.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that an observer is somehow behind this? That he's using Neil?
I mean, he's definitely watching him.
You care for him.
Yeah.
I suppose I do. Yeah, like a father. My father, I cannot get the thought out of my mind that I couldn't give him what he wanted because of the way that I am. That he secretly wished I could love him back in a way that he could understand.
Poor
Do you think if I were more like you, he would have loved me more? If I was normal?
Oh, Astrid, he should have loved you regardless for exactly who you are, because he's your dad.
I think I would prefer this beverage with sugar.
Wonder what this Astrid's relationship with her father is like.
Take a look at this. Neil was a twin. His brother and father were killed in an accident.
Interesting.
Gandhi, Joan of Arc, all the rest of them. What's the connection? They're heroes?
They help people.
They're all saviors.
Yeah.
So where's Neil?
I heard you that night, you know. The night Alex died.
What'd she say?
You said God took the wrong one.
I had a feeling.
You always resented that I wasn't Alex, not your angel.
That's horrible. How could you ever say that about your child?
But God had a plan. He let me live for a reason. I know that now. God gave me a way to see the future. What are you talking about? Stop. Don't do that.
Do that.
You're scaring me.
Scaring me. Neil, I'm sorry. What you heard that night, you should have never have heard that.
You should have never said it, to be honest.
Jesus knew the Romans were coming for him. He could have avoided his death so easily. He had faith that God had a plan.
Yeah, I was like, there was a purpose.
And I'm willing to go.
FBI, put your hands up.
Don't you remember, Mom, what the priest said about Alex at the
Stand
funeral?
up slow.
Angels don't belong on earth. I'll see you in heaven.
No!
I mean, he planned that the whole time, but I don't get it fully. I'll talk about it later.
He wasn't trying to hit me. He fired at the window on purpose.
He was doing suicide by cop.
I think he knew we were coming and he wanted us to shoot him.
Yeah.
But he had a gun. Why not just shoot himself?
Because suicide's a sin.
Because he was religious. If he committed suicide, he wouldn't be allowed into heaven.
But what about all the people he killed?
He thought he was saving them.
By the way, I do not think suicide is a sin. I'm just saying, I understand, like, religiously, that's what he would think.
As long as you're stuck here, you make a good partner.
Thank you.
Makes a good more than that. He's gonna hug her?
Here, I want to show you something. My ingenious piece of spy tech.
It's for like a matchstick box or something. Oh.
They're bobbins, and they're delicious.
One for the road.
You giving me a send-off?
You may possess positive qualities that I previously overlooked.
Are you flirting with me?
In your dreams.
That's cute.
What you said before. My father were not very close either.
It's him, not you.
He's a very complex man. He doesn't really show emotion. He does the best with the tools he has. It's just how he is.
He's more like this, Astrid.
You shouldn't regret that you could have been more for him. It wasn't you.
It was him.
Thank you, Agent Farnsworth. You're welcome, Agent Farnsworth.
I'm so happy. Wonder if she lied.
Well, look who's here.
My dad.
At least I can feed you. And I can give my baby girl a big old hug. Aw.
I love you, Dad.
I love you too, Astrid.
I feel like she lied to protect other Astrid, and honestly, like, I like that even more.
Here it is. You're right. It's September's.
He must have lost it in 1985. The night he didn't save the boy. He'll be interested to know what happened to it. There's something else. It appears that September did not obey your instructions.
Oh no, did he see Peter?
The boy is back. Peter Bishop has returned.
No, could you not keep that to yourself? Oh God. Okay, hold on though. Hold on a hot second. Hold on. Who shot the observer then? Because he was shot in the episode that he was talking to Olivia and saying that he looked at all possible futures and the only way that it worked was for her to die. If it wasn't them, then who was it? Or because they can move through time, was it still them? You know? Okay, so first off, I have to say that I am so glad that we finally got an Astrid episode. Even though it's not like our original Astrid or even the original other Astrid, it still like makes me so happy that we finally got a little bit of backstory for her. Hopefully it's not too different if we like go back to the original timeline. So yeah, I'm very excited about that, and I definitely want to talk about Astrid. So I think I'm gonna start with talking about Astrid. So it seems like her father, the other Astrid, her father recently died and there was a funeral. What I'm gathering from like what was said during the episode is that it might have been that very same day that she came over that the funeral happened, because Fauxlivia said it's been a really hard day for her. So that would be my guess. Also, I really like this Fauxlivia. So like I want to go back to our original timeline, but I would also like to keep this Fauxlivia. Like, is there a way that we could do that? Because that would be the ideal. So, talking about Astrid though, we learned that I think I assume her dad is Reverend Stewart, and her mom died of cancer when she was a kid. It seems like she was probably mostly raised by her father, and it seems that other Astrid's dad was maybe a little bit distant. She feels like because she's a less emotional person that there's something wrong with her that made him not love her. Now, there's something that I don't think I've ever said, but I've suspected about other Astrid, for a little while. Initially, I thought she might be like an android because she knew all the statistics. But now I kind of suspect that she's somewhere on the autism spectrum. And I have suspected that for a while. However, I do not know enough about the variations of the spectrum to really make an informed guesstimate of that. So I didn't really want to say it. I kind of still want to say it with like a heavy grain of like salt. The only reason I even sort of suspect it is because some of her lack of social awareness is similar to my sister, who is on the autism spectrum, right? So that's the only authority that I have to sort of draw upon, or the only source of information. So yeah, that would be my guess. I obviously, like I said, am not a doctor, so I don't really know. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist or whoever, you know, would be qualified to actually make some sort of diagnosis or try to theorize about if that could be the diagnosis of that character. It does seem to match, but again, like I said, I just don't know. So I'm not gonna say for sure, obviously. All of that being said, I definitely think that it's a failing on her father's part to not try to understand that if that is the case, that she processes things differently. Even if that's not the case, she still is just a person who processes things differently than you. And I think that it's pretty shitty that her dad doesn't love her for who she is and is instead trying to make her to be somebody else. I definitely am somebody who thinks that parents should unequivocally, unconditionally love their kids. And if you are not prepared to unconditionally and unequivocally love your kids, then you should not have kids, because it's never going to be the kid's fault, right? Your issues, your hangups, your whatever, that's on you. You need to put that aside to raise your kid and to love your kid and to always let them know that they are loved. I kind of judge her dad a little bit for that, because this Astrid, like other Astrid, is great. She's funny, she's emotional, she's, you know, she just acts maybe different than what would be perceived as like a quote unquote normal person. But I personally have never been that interested in quote unquote normal people, you know, like, but also who are we to say what is and is not normal? I'm not saying that other Astrid isn't normal, like that she isn't perfectly who she should be, because I think she is. I just think the whole construct of normal is ridiculous, and we should dismantle it and fight against it, and fight against the idea that there is like one normal, linear way to be or to live your life. Anyway, I'm going to step down off that soapbox and go back to Astrid. This Astrid, not other Astrid, our Astrid, kind of. I really like that at the end they showed that she really helped other Astrid to realize that she's not the problem, that her dad was the problem. And I like that the show then showed us that this Astrid, or our Astrid, again, kind of. It's hard to figure out like how to categorize them, because she's our Astrid, but she's also not our Astrid, so it's confusing. Anyway, I like that they showed her going home or to her dad's house and him like having dinner ready, and he's gonna make her food, and they hugged, and they seemed to have a very close relationship. And I like that they showed that, because I think it just further illustrates who Astrid is, and that is a kind, loving person. In this instance, she lied to other Astrid to help her realize that it's not on her that her dad didn't love her, right? Or I think he did love her, but he just didn't know how to love her. And that's not on her, because he's the parent, right? So I really liked seeing Astrid do that kindness for other Astrid, and it just reiterates why I always love Astrid so damn much, no matter what world, no matter what iteration. Yeah, I'm just so happy that finally 4.5 seasons, like halfway into the 4th season of Fringe, we finally get an Astrid episode. Like, we have waited and waited and waited and waited and waited, and I'm glad that it's finally here. I wish that it would have happened sooner, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm going to take all this little Astrid information and be happy with it, right? I remember in like, I think it was way back in like the 1st season, I was like, I need an Astrid episode, I need a Broyles episode, like I need to know more about these characters that we don't get to see as much of. And they gave us the Broyles episode last season. They gave us the Astrid episode this season. Again, I could take more. I would be excited for more of their individual episodes, but I'm going to take what I can get and be happy because it's what I asked for and they gave it to me, so I'm going to enjoy it. Also, I love, love, love Walter and Fauxlivia's relationship in this world. Like, it's so adorably antagonistic. Like, it was so, like, cute, their little headbutting and just the way that they were interacting the whole episode. Like, Walter kind of being a little bit of a petulant child and, like, feeling a little bit betrayed. And Fauxlivia sort of playing into that and, like, poking him a little bit, but then ultimately being like, you know what? Look, here. You like me. I like you. Here's, like, a little olive branch. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I really like Fauxlivia in this world. Would like to keep this Fauxlivia. Please and thank you. And like I've always said, like, Anna Torv just looks great with red hair. I mean, she looks great with blonde hair. She looks great all the time. Don't get me wrong. But like, I think she looks really cool with red hair. I like it. I like her aesthetic from World B a lot. I like that they had the Tears of Ra. I like that they're sort of bringing different religions into it besides just Christianity, even though Christianity was also in this episode a lot. But I like that they're sort of diversifying a little bit. Like, also, it's interesting because there's no scientific answer that we found so far for the Tears of Ra, right? It was very Deus Ex Machina, like Astrid was saying. And also, can I just say, I love the fact that a show is actually introducing the concept of Deus Ex Machina into the show, because it's just something that shows do a lot, to be like, we don't really know how to resolve this. Here, this is how it's resolved, you know? And it feels Deus Ex Machina, and I just like my little nerdy English major self is like, yes. I love the meta of sort of introducing it in the show and being like, there you go. Have it. Enjoy sort of situation. Like, that is a lot of fun for me. Also, the Tears of Ra, go back to that for a second. It just, because of Ra, because of the focus on like Egyptian gods, reminds me of Stargate SG-1. And I love science fiction paying homage to science fiction that came before. Obviously, there's been a ton of Star Trek references in this for obvious reasons. And so, yeah, love the Star Trek, love this little tiny Stargate SG-1 mention. I mean, it's not really a mention of Stargate SG-1, but I'm gonna take it that way. Okay? I'm gonna take it that way. Also, the Observers have always been like, we don't really understand the way that they work, but they work somehow, right? This Observer walked in, well, he came out of the mirror, went back into the mirror, and then disappeared. Like, I'm assuming it's some sort of portal as well, kind of like the portal on Raiden Lake with that Peter and Walter walked through. I'm assuming it's something like that. Like, it could be theoretically, scientifically possible. But I also feel like the Observers are kind of like, they don't make sense from a purely scientific standpoint, which is interesting because, as I always talk about, like, Fringe does like to bring it back to science, right? Like, They're like, this is how it makes sense scientifically. Like, even if it's not like actual sense, or like it wouldn't technically work theoretically in our world, like you could be like, you know, like, but it plays off of understood real science, right? I feel like the observers do not do that. Maybe they do, but they just don't explain it enough. Also, speaking of the observers, they were all up in this episode, but it makes sense because it was the Tears of Ra, which is apparently an observer device that belonged to September, who, if I remember correctly, is our observer. Like, he is who I call the one true observer, right? August is the one from the one episode that saved the girl, right? Because he became attached to her, and then he died. And then September is our observer, if I remember correctly. Also, the fact that they're called August, September implies the existence of like October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, right? So are there 12 observers in total? Which is interesting if there are, because that's also a biblical reference, right? 12 disciples sort of situation. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Yeah. Anyway, they have now discovered, thanks to whatever observer that was, that Peter is here. Although there was an observer watching Peter come out of Raiden Lake, my only assumption is that it had to have been September. Yeah. So the other observers are now aware that Peter is not, you know, poofed out of existence like he was supposed to be. So that's gonna stress me out for the rest of the season. I'm curious as to when it's all said and done, like how the observers will be explained, because we still don't know where they come from. We still don't really know like anything about them except for the fact that they can see the past, the present, and the future, and that they're sort of tasked with protecting the timeline, right? They're a little bit TVA from Loki. I'm curious as to what else we're going to learn about them, and also what the hell they're going to do to Peter, because again, I'm scared. Also, can we just talk about the fact that poor Neil spent his entire life after that accident, which happened when he was a child, feeling out of place and like he should have died, because his mom literally said to somebody, I don't know if she said it to somebody or she said it in a prayer, but she said it should have been him instead of her other son that died. Which, like, I honestly cannot fathom that way of thinking. Like, as I always preface, I'm not a parent, but like I can't imagine that if one of my children died, I would be like, I wish the other one did instead of this one. I would just be like, it's so horrible that my child died, and like I have one left. I will pour all of my love and my energy into this child and hope that I can, you know, be as good as I can to them. Like, it's just, I don't get it. Like, I don't get that way of thinking. And I feel really bad for Neil that he spent his entire life with that in the back of his head, that his mother didn't love him as much as she loved his sibling. And I'm not gonna like judge this woman for grieving, obviously. Like, she lost her husband and her son. Like, that would be incredibly horrific, and the grief process would be immense, I'm sure. And I don't think you would ever actually get over that. However, I don't know why she had to say that. You know? I don't think I have a lot more to say about this episode. I really enjoyed it. I love seeing more of Astrid. Give me more Astrid in every single episode. I would be okay with it. You know? I would be here for it. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you want, you can like, comment, and subscribe if you aren't already. You can also watch the next episode right now over on Patreon if you are watching this on YouTube, as well as my entire full-length reaction to this episode and every single episode thus far of Fringe. That is over there as well. Also, really quick before I leave, even though most people have probably already clicked off by this point, I just want to say, Peter and Walter in this episode, I don't know what was going on with Walter, but I think that he's just sad about Peter, and he's scared to get close to this Peter because he doesn't want to lose him again, right? And inevitably, the conclusion of this storyline is that he would lose Peter again. Yeah. Kind of breaks my heart. Anyway, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope to see you next time for more Fringe. Until then. Bye, guys.